Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Slime, Season 4.
Yep, Slime, Season 4, Episode 10. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo, and, well, Slime showed up the day before we usually record, and usually we give it till about Monday, and then we kind of just say F it and skip the week if it doesn't show up by then, so... If we might be on week to week for Slime, so we'll just have to see, because this is not simul-dubbed, it is several weeks behind the sub, so yeah, we'll just have to see where it's at, but we're good for now. It showed up yesterday, and or it showed up on Friday, and so we're okay, we're good, so we'll just continue. I don't like having no buffer zone, but it's just going to be a running thing from now on, that if Slime doesn't show up in any given week, then you guys can just assume that the dub didn't show up. You know what I mean? So that's just where we're at. Yeah. So that's just the PSA for that right now. And I've mentioned that before. If we're ever not here and I don't make a quick video that's like, hey, Age is sick or out of town or I'm sick and can't do something or my computer exploded or whatever, then just assume that there's no so dub episode anyway. But yeah, last time we had the magical locks, all that kind of stuff. That was neat. That was some cool visuals, and then that led into the Chaos Dragon stuff, which Maleem is off to deal with, and now Rimuru has to deal with Yuki and the gang. So not Matsuyuki. Remember, we have to make that distinction. Yuki.
Well, again, for the people who are still trying to give Maleem crap for abandoning Rimuru, when she left, it was only the dragon as a problem that she was going to go deal with.
Right. And I've seen a lot of people like, I can't believe Maleem would just abandon him like that. It's like, there was no problem when she left. The problem was the dragon. So that's it. That's not really abandoning somebody. That's like, I got to go deal with something. And then the problem shows up. It's like, at the end of the day, she probably still would have chosen the dragon, but she probably would have explained herself potentially slightly more like, hey, Rimuru, I have to go deal with this dragon. This is a me problem. You have this, right? And then go. But it's just, it's one of those things. It's like a lot of people are like, oh, she abandoned him. It's like, did you guys see the sequence of events? You know what I mean? So, I don't know. But going forward, it'll be interesting to see if Maribel actually has like combat capability, that kind of stuff, what she does here. How much more of her story we might get if this is where the game ends for her. Obviously, that kind of thing. I don't have that source material knowledge, not that I mention it in any spoiler sense, but she seems like the kind of character that potentially won't be like added to Tempest. You know what I mean? Because you can't just add everybody. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's still a possibility that she might come around, because once again, the whole thing is still just that she's completely full of just misconceptions about Rimuru, and like she keeps just misjudging everything that he's doing.
Yeah.
But as it stands right now, the odds of that are pretty low.
Yeah.
As far as her actually having combat capabilities, probably. Because once again, she is a reincarnator, which reincarnators typically come with a variety of abilities, including their unique skill.
Yep. So, either way, this should be interesting. I'm excited to continue Slime. So, we're going to push some buttons and get going here. So, people on Patreon will see you on the other side of the edit for the timer reaction. And people on YouTube will see you on the other side for the discussion and review. And all the links are down there if you want to check out the other stuff. I did mention in ReZero yesterday that while we only have Slime for the next couple weeks while we wait for the dubs of Bleach, Saga of Tanya the Evil Season 2, and Skeleton Knight Season 2, which we did see that the dub for that is already up, which Skeleton Knight's getting simul-dubbed. How about that? Didn't see that one coming. But Season 1 of that apparently was a big-time success, so good for them. But yeah, we'll be waiting until we can do all three of them. But we do have something for you. Avatar The Last Airbender live-action Season 2. We're going to talk about it. And if you guys have ever wanted to see us shit on something non-stop, once again, we don't like to do it, but when something deserves it, we'll do it. This is like a 100% jump on the just shit on the thing bandwagon, because man, is it bad. And we've only watched 3 episodes so far. But I will say this, I'll leave everybody with this. We have one nice thing to say about it so far. So we'll leave you guys with that, but we'll have that for next week, at the very least, to whatever, and then we have a couple other things that we can do that I have lined up that I want to space out just in case I don't want to do everything that I have thoughts on doing video wise, and then run out of stuff. So considering the Avatar thing will probably be a very long video, like well over an hour. That'll be more than enough content for making up for the fact that there's only slime next week. You know what I mean? So it will be what it'll be. But we have a couple other things while we wait for the simuldubs to start, and then we'll jump into the summer season. There's all kinds of stuff. So, and then we got to pick up ReZero again in the middle of August for those last 8 episodes. So we have plenty of stuff to do, but we won't leave you guys hanging. We have a couple other things that we want to talk about, and hey, something popped up from the sports stuff that I can talk about as well, in like a pseudo sports episode for the first time. So we'll also do that. But next week, Avatar: The Last Airbender live action. We're going to talk about it. So look forward to that. But for now, we're going to push some buttons and get going with slime. So, here goes something. Well, all right, then there you guys have it. This was about as much of a non-fight as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
We talked about it during the reaction. Is like humanity's like intelligence on the current like power level of demon lords is not in where it needs to be, because they're probably comparing a lot of the demon lords to more active demon lords like Clayman, Frey, and Carrion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, prior to the forming of Octagon, most of the actual strong demon lords were the ones that were recluses, like friggin' Leon and Guy, Ramirez, who all just kind of kept to themselves, and humanity never really interacted with. The ones they interacted with were, what's his face of the Beast Nation? I can never remember his friggin' name. Carrion.
Yeah.
Carrion, Clayman, Frey, who are all very active in or on the border of human territory, and who were constantly trying to push their influence because of their lack of power.
Yeah.
But most of the, like I said, truly powerful demon lords were all just kind of recluses that humanity never really interacted with. Like, the only true demon lord that humanity really ever interacted with was Malim, and Malim was just seen as a natural disaster that no one ever thought they could beat.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things where, even people like Guy here, when he like made his grand declaration last season that he would be able to, take down the Demon Lord and blah blah blah, because he's an A rank adventurer, and they see their power to that extent. Is like, we as the viewer know that they are far below that. You know what I mean? An A rank adventurer is pretty much like slightly below the level of like the ogres after they first evolved. You know what I mean? That kind of Majin territory.
Yeah, like an A-rank adventurer could hold their own in a fight, but would probably still lose to a Majin.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the ogres are all now considered to be high Majin.
Yeah.
And all the Octofan demon lords are a whole magnitude above even that. There's no classification for their power levels right now.
Yeah. So, Guy just getting just literally RKO'd out of existence in a split second was pretty on point, you know what I mean? And the whole rest of it was, Yuki kind of points it out at the end of the episode. There was like, while Maribel did have an entire life before this in, the previous world, like just call it the real world, that she didn't have time to develop her powers here because she's only been here for 10 years, and well, she's been a little kid most of that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's only been here for 10 years, and well over half of that was still like a child learning how to walk.
Yeah, pretty much. And all during that time, once again, Yuki and Hinata have been here for well over a decade. So they were already here developing their talents and skills before she even got isekai'd and born here.
Yeah, and they also, had Shizu as a teacher, and have had just in general a lot more opportunities to actually build up their strength, even though it's comparable amounts of time.
But they didn't have to grow up. They were already, basically high school seniors, 16 to 18 years old, that already had developed and had reasonable talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's just like it's a comparable amount of time that they've been in this world as her, but they had a lot more ability to effectively use their time because they were already adults and they had a teacher. She, the first 5 or 6 years of her life, was just stuck being an infant, just kind of experimenting around with her unique skill on like the maid staff and stuff like that, and her parents.
Right.
It wasn't until she was like 6 or 7 that she got introduced to her grandfather, and he started actually helping her develop into the freaking power player that she is now.
Right. And he wasn't like being like active, teaching her like Shizu did, you know what I mean? Even being a former hero that he is, you know what I mean? So he was just kind of like, kind of just like softballing it in there. You know what I mean? He wasn't like Shizu, like in the Isekai Memories, like original like extra story that I've mentioned before, where Fuse shows like Yuki and Hinata, coming to this world and then becoming Shizu's students and how they, trained and stuff like that. Their training consisted of running laps around the entirety of Ingrassia. That's what Shizu had them doing for light work. Okay? She was really drilling them to the like 9 millionth degree out of 10 to make sure that they would survive. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's part of why I was putting emphasis on the fact that they were trained by Shizu, because like in the anime you only see Shizu in like the tail end of her life when she's already like halfway dead. Yeah. But she was actually a very big deal when she was in her prime.
Yeah. The Conqueror of Flames was is not a misnomer, okay? What we saw at the end of her life was a fraction of what she was capable of. At her peak, she was probably on par with Hinata. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where a lot of the extra stuff that Fuse has written for the gacha game is important. And that's, that was something that came out like well over a year ago. You know what I mean? So knowing that was not really a spoiler, but I just knew it's like, I know Yuki has the anti-skill, so there's no way that Maribel can control him. He's just playing the game. And that was as vague as I could make it without straight up telling everybody Yuki has anti-skill, meaning nothing can really work on him. You saw that he can negate ultimate skills, which are the strongest things in this world. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where I knew that was a thing. So it's like, well, this is kind of, anticlimactic for me because I know Yuki's character sheet. You know what I mean? I know that this was something that was put out there. You know what I mean? So maybe that's different in the actual source material as a thing that the readers know, but that's not something we get in the anime. But in the game, at the very least, Yuki develops the anti-skill, which does exactly that. And unless somebody can like physically overpower him, like Rimuru did here with his ultimate art, he's, you basically just have to win a punching contest with him then at that point. I mean, you're not going to beat him with a skill. You could beat him by just swinging your sword and being better as a swordsman than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, once again, I think like of what we've seen of the skills, there's still a lot of ultimate skills that are unaccounted for. Like we've only seen the only like one of the true dragons we've seen any sort of skills from is Veldora, and he's supposed to be the weakest of the true dragons.
Yeah.
I know Veldonata in particular is supposed to be like absolutely fucking ridiculous. So I don't really know what his skills are, but like from what we have seen of some of the different unique and ultimate skills, the only one that likely could potentially get through anti-skill is Shion's.
Yeah.
Which we were talking about, the whole thing of like him fighting Shion, who's with Trump who's. We didn't get to see that because from what we've seen of the fight, it didn't seem like Shion actually used her skill.
Yeah. Plus, she kind of had that brief moment of being like stunned and weakened by Holyfield briefly.
Yeah.
So, which this Holyfield must have been stronger than whatever the Knights were using last season because she was completely unaffected by the one last season. This one she was affected by.
Yeah, no, the first one that got put up affected her, then she was strong enough to just totally be unaffected by it the second time, and then this one affected her despite being even stronger than then.
Yeah.
So this was clearly a much higher magnitude of a holy barrier than previously.
Right. Still nothing that Rimuru couldn't just snap out of existence, though, mind you.
Well, the whole thing was he didn't snap it out of existence. It was just that he knew that they were going to try to deploy a holy barrier, so he had Hakuro and stuff on standby ready to disrupt anyone who tried to put up the barrier.
Right. So, yeah. That's why all those cutaways were, like Hakuro and Sokka and the rest of them. Even we got to see Gabiru for the first time in, like, the entire season.
He's made 2 cameo appearances. This is a cut-in of freaking them disrupting the barrier. And then the whole thing of his lab getting moved to the 95th floor of the labyrinth.
Yeah. So classic Gabiru just kind of not being around, which isn't very classic at all, because usually he's loud and everywhere. Not right now, but he's doing his thing. But man, you want to give the Oscar to Yuki, then he definitely earned it, right? Because he hammed it up really good.
The power of friendship trumps all.
Yeah, your pleas of friendship totally just broke through the nonsense and pulled me out of it. It's like, are you kidding? And we even got the whole what was it? It was the Hisoka face from the Rimuru here, where he goes full white. Yeah, see, I landed on it. See, this is getting around. Hisoka has started a trend. It's everywhere.
Yeah, one of the things that's kind of interesting that this does imply is that, like, he specifically mentions that he can turn anti-skill on or off. This whole thing with him being inundated by greed and stuff like that does imply that he can selectively choose what to turn on and off with anti-skill.
Yeah.
Like, he can choose to be affected by these things, but not these things at the same time.
Right. So now that he does have greed, which he just kind of, siphoned the rest of it out of Maribel there at the end, now he has something going for him more than just anti-skill, which is probably arguably one of the best things that you can have in this world. You know what I mean? If you can be once again, the training that Shizu put them through was insane. So his just physical capability as just, is like peak humanity. You know what I mean? He is beyond, like, Olympic level athlete level of endurance and that kind of stuff. So he already had that going for him. But if he can just straight up win with his martial ability and not having to worry about skills because of anti-skill, now that he has full-on greed, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that, because now he's an even bigger threat than he already was. You know what I mean? He was playing the long game, and taking greed from Maribel was probably part of that long game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's managed to throw off most of the suspicion on him from Rimuru. Though not all of it, because Rimuru does say this whole thing seems like BS.
Yeah.
But he's thrown off at least some level of suspicion for Rimuru, and he's acquired greed and gotten Maribel out of his way.
Yeah. So, either way, this was another solid episode. I guess we're done with Maribel, obviously. She's taken out here, and they had that whole speech there at the end. So now we have to deal with, the derpy Chaos Dragon, which, well...
Yeah, in the immediate, we have to deal with the Chaos Dragon. In the long term, we still have to deal with Yuki, and now we probably have a very angry Granville in the distance.
Yeah. So we'll just have to see what happens with Granville. But once again, we're barely over halfway through the series as it sits. Just think about that for a second. Source material's done, but they need 5 cores to get this done, which is well over, 80-something episodes. So 80, 90 episodes, which we were like 80, 90 episodes in as it stood. So there's still plenty of time to get to the stuff. Obviously, the Angel stuff still probably has to occur. The super endgame stuff, that kind of stuff. We'll probably get into the other true dragons at some point, like Maleem's father, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I know all 4 of the true dragons at least make an appearance at some point or another. I don't know how relevant they all are, but they all make an appearance to some extent. We have to get to whatever the end game is, which we're both pretty sure is the Angels. I know at some point or another the Empire, the Eastern Empire, is a story arc dealing with them, which so far seems to be setting up for potentially being the next major thing that happens after this, because of the whole thing of like them supposedly mobilizing forces and Rimaru's like suspecting they might be moving through Dwargon and whatnot.
Right.
But we'll see.
Yep. So either way, there are a lot of cool visuals in this one, that kind of stuff. What you'd expect from like the kind of non-fights and that kind of stuff from the human side and whatnot. And then Maribel just being outclassed in every way, and then she never really realized that she was totally wrong about Rimaru's ideology. And that's what got her to where she was at. So,
yeah, this whole situation starts off with it's caused by her misinterpreting Rimaru's intentions, largely just due to her natural distrust of demon lords.
Yep.
And then she just walks into this whole situation where she is vastly outclassed by basically everyone present, and that's ultimately why none of her plans work.
Yep.
Like, she had plenty of plans. The problem was basically every one of them was trumped by just the fact that everyone here is magnitude stronger than she is and can just ignore all of her plans.
Right. So either way, I'd say for her, it was a solid character arc for what it was. It wasn't terrible. It didn't overstay its welcome. You know what I mean? It was quick, to the point. You know, about what you'd expect from somebody overestimating themselves. We talked about that at the end of last season. You know what I mean? We didn't really think she was going to be a super big threat. You know what I mean? So that was unsurprising. But still, a nice, reasonable story arc for what it was. It furthers Yuki's overarching storyline, that kind of stuff, whatnot.
Yeah.
And for Rimuru, he now knows about anti-skill, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Maribel definitely had the potential to become dangerous. The problem is just that when it was revealed that all she had was only the one unique skill, it was kind of dead in the water for her right then and there, because she didn't have any other fallback to go to, and once again, a unique skill can't trump ultimate skills.
Yep.
It's the fact that a being even capable of possessing ultimate skills is, because of the way the skills work, being a representation of a person's soul. It means they're just too strong for most of unique skills to even work on them at that point, because in order to even be strong enough to manifest an ultimate skill means you're basically beyond unique skills.
Yeah.
Because unique skills ultimately aren't even necessarily that strong in the power structure of things. The whole thing to unique skills is just that they are unique to that individual.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, remember Raphael's description of ultimate skills. Even having one ultimate skill is a big deal. Rimuru has 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
yeah, the amount of ultimate skills the character possesses is a direct representation of how strong their soul is, and therefore, if your soul is strong enough, you can just kind of hand wave other people's abilities because they're just too weak.
Yep. So, either way, the last bit of this core will be dealing with the dragon, and then probably setting up whatever the next arc is going to be, which I have no idea, which is good. But I did know that stuff about Yuki. That's why I was very... I couldn't say it, but, I was saying it without saying it. You know what I mean? I knew about anti-skill because of the Fuse original extra story from the game. So, didn't know it was called anti-skill. I know he was talking about, I want to design a skill that nullifies other skills. I didn't know the name. I just knew he achieved the goal of creating it. So, he just went with the obvious, anti-skill. Yep. Got it. Cool. Straight to the point.
Yeah, as far as arc stuff goes, like I said, I know the Eastern Empire is an arc at some point. And that's about it for what other arcs are potentially coming. Like I know that there's a big final arc, obviously. And I know it's not the Eastern Empire arc. And I know the Eastern Empire arc is a thing that we're going to get at some point.
Yep. So, either way, looking forward to continuing more Slime. That's going to continue once again as long as the dub comes out before our recording days. We'll do it, and if there isn't a dub that week, it just won't show up. You know what I mean? So we're on the edge of just not having that buffer zone anymore. But that is what it is. But either way, we'll be starting the next set of shows when the dub start. I did see that the Skeleton Knight dub already came out with the sub at the same time, so that's getting simul-dubbed. There is no sign of Bleach just yet, and I have to check on Tanya, but I'd assume that one would be getting it, but considering how long of a hiatus that show has had, we'll just have to see.
Tanya, yeah, it's the massive hiatus, plus Tanya's had dubbing issues in the past. Like, the movie never got dubbed because of the, Funimation versus Crunchyroll debacle.
Yeah.
Now that, Funimation's gone and it's just Crunchyroll, they might have had shit sorted this time around, but there was a fair amount of delays for the original season, and once again, the movie never got dubbed.
Yeah. But, well, we do know the VAs have been still working on those characters because of Isekai Quartet. So, well, whenever that starts, we'll be doing that. We'll be starting all those shows at the same time. We're not going to bifurcate it and start Skeleton Knight next week, and then we're going to just start when all of them are ready to go at the same time. But like I said earlier, we have Avatar: The Last Airbender live action. We're going to talk about that a lot next week, so that'll probably cover all the videos that won't be, all the shows, episodes that we would have normally, that kind of thing. And there are a couple other videos that I can throw out for the weeks to, be there with Slime, a couple other gaming things, sports-related crap that I've wanted to do for a little bit, and whatnot. So there'll be other stuff during the weeks. I still have to put out the Hitman Bruce Lee thing, so you guys can see that thing. And unfortunately, the newest elusive target was Wiz Khalifa. I'm not saying that's unfortunate. It's cool that he got to do it, but it's just them replacing the Conor McGregor elusive target with him. They just were like, okay, that's it. So it wasn't really new and exciting. It was just they replaced the Conor McGregor one with Wiz Khalifa because Conor McGregor has had a lot of legal and cultural problems, so they probably didn't want to be associated with him anymore. So yeah. They probably just gave it to Mr. Khalifa, but that really wasn't worth uploading as anything because it was nothing new and exciting. I could probably put a clip in when I figured out oh, this is how easy this elusive target is. But, you know what I mean? So that's about it. It wouldn't be much of a video. I might put a short up or something. But we have plans to bridge the gap to the summer season, but we're fully caught up. I'm excited about that. That's cool, and we can do a couple things that we wanted to do. So we get to talk about the One Piece live action, something completely opposite end of the spectrum of the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action. I'm going to do a couple gaming things, so we'll have a couple extra things during the week for different stuff while we wait for the summer season to start. So I'm excited to do those along with Slime. We'll continue on Mondays until they're done with these first two cores, and then whenever it continues or whatnot. So we got plans for a little bit, but once again, if you guys wanted to see us shit on something more than praise it, that's what the Last Airbender video is going to be, guaranteed. We have one nice thing to say about it so far. One nice thing to say about it after the first 3 episodes. The rest of it, trivial brain dabblage.
It's probably going to be the most we've shit on something to date, even more so than freaking Guild Receptionist and Faraway Paladin.
Yep. So get ready for that if you guys ever wondered if we'd ever super go on something. So that's what that video is going to be. So we'll talk about that more, but we'll have that for next week, and then a couple other things in the coming weeks while we wait for the dubs to come out, which hopefully won't be too long. You know what I mean? So hopefully just a couple weeks, and then we can going. But like I said, Skeleton Knight's getting simulcast, so that's cool. Good for them. I really do enjoy that show for what it is. Can't wait to get back to that. Been almost 4 years at this point, actually. So cool that that's coming back. But we got stuff coming out, so check that out. It'll be here, and some new and exciting stuff that we haven't got to do yet. So yep. So everybody, this was Slime Season 4, Episode 10, and we'll be back next week with some extra stuff and whatnot. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.